want to take a couple minutes to talk about bad PowerPoint slides and terrible PowerPoint slides. If you do a quick search on the internet for bad PowerPoint slides, you'll find thousands of them. Some of them are funny, some of them are sad. All of them are ineffective. And they're an example of what happens when getting defensive, avoiding responsibility, misunderstanding what PowerPoint is even for, gets magnified. I'm more worried about terrible PowerPoint slides because terrible slides slip by. We don't comment on them. We merely ignore them. Terrible PowerPoint slides aren't quite as astonishing as the bad ones, but they're everywhere. They're places we use bullets or the wrong kind of image, but mostly they're the kind of slides where we're hiding, where we're confused, where we haven't asked the question, what is it for? So let me take you through some of the bad PowerPoint slides I collected to give you a hint about the kind of challenges that we're facing. The first one is one that we see all the time in government and giant bureaucracies. And basically, it's a way of saying to the audience, without any detail, we own a big pile of spaghetti. Here's one that's so famous, it appeared on the front page of the New York Times. It's impossible to look at this slide and understand anything other than, whoa, that's a mess. So if that's your goal, then by all means, put it in the presentation. But most of the time, the people who put something like this in a presentation have spent a great deal of time and effort building it only to communicate to people that it's a mess. Here's another one, again from the government. I don't believe that even an expert can look at this and take away any action items. Next category, the one that's super common in institutions where junior people, whether they are students or analysts, have to report to others. And this is, well, I don't want you to do anything. I don't really have anything to say, but I want you to checklist that I took the time to do this. Okay, the next one is a version of spaghetti, except it's about spaghetti for the future. And it's about building deniability into the presentation. So here's a slide you may have seen in a various kind of IT presentation. And what it shows you is that going forward, don't blame me, it's going to be a mess because it's really complicated. Again, this is a disrespectful slide because what you're saying to the audience is, I'm not going to break this into pieces and show us how we're going to thrive. All I'm going to do is compress it and make it clear to you that I told you this was going to happen. The most common form of bad PowerPoint is the one where the person who creates it jams too much together. We see this in bullets all the time, and uses all of that jamming to just get the point over with. So here's one that I love, partly for the clip art. I love the guy's beard on the right, but mostly because it's hard for me to imagine how someone could put this slide up and change the people in the room. That what they've done instead is done a checklist, show that they know what they're talking about, but not bothered to break it into pieces that are actually useful. Here's another one about a different management theory, the business model canvas. Again, business model canvas is a worthwhile topic for a 280-page book. You're not going to be able to communicate what's in the 280-page book using one slide and 11 bullet points. And leaving the type choice aside for a minute. Why is it here? What is it for? Again and again, when we talk about powerful presentations, that's the question. Every single slide has a purpose. What's the purpose of this slide? Here's another one that's much simpler and doesn't have such horrible typography, but what's it for? It's sort of showing me that there's a life cycle associated with fruit from Chile. Okay, I think I get that. What's the news? What do you want me to learn? What do you want me to understand? There's at least 5 big ideas on this one slide. If you have 5 things to say them with at least 5 slides. Make a point, have me learn something, and then let's go on. This one is a fabulous example of that times 10. Here we have 6 bullet points, each of which could be its own slide, each of which is put in front of a picture that makes them almost impossible to read. So this is sort of the grand collection of what we expect from a teacher who's not understanding how to teach or a student who's merely doing homework to get it over with. Here's another example in a professional setting. This one is about global warming. The chart on the right is in no order whatsoever that I can tell. So it makes it almost impossible for me to learn something from that chart. This belongs in an exhibit, probably several pages of an exhibit. It doesn't belong in your PowerPoint. Here's another example of someone who couldn't be bothered to break apart the information, the data, to present it in a way that I could actually do something with it. But if you're going to take our time and think about the ratio in the office, one person giving a presentation to 10, that's a multiplier. That's a time suck. If you're going to take our time, tell us why we're here. Tell us what the point is. And this one's a matter of life and death. Is anyone going to look at this slide and then a week or a month or a year later in a high-stress situation be able to give CPR? If you want to teach me CPR, make me do CPR. That's how we will remember it, not because we saw a slide with 100 words on it for 5 minutes or 2 minutes on the screen. One of the things that we love to find on the internet, of course, is truly weird, bad PowerPoint. I couldn't resist including this one, which won a worldwide contest. Why is there a rabbit? Why is there a hot dog? I can't help but think that someone did this on purpose, but I just put it here because we should avoid it. And then the last one, from the father of PowerPoint, from the former CEO of Microsoft. I was actually in the room when Bill Gates gave this presentation. This slide, produced by a well-paid professional with stock options. Bill Gates standing in front of it for several minutes, explaining Microsoft's strategy for the future. It's everything that's wrong with a terrible PowerPoint. Every one of the categories all rolled into one. It's got weirdness in it. Who are those people and why do they look like this? It's ugly. It has bad typography. It has bad color choices. It's spaghetti. It's spaghetti about the past and spaghetti about the future. It's unclear what he's trying to tell us. Is he trying to say that Microsoft does a lot of stuff? Well, we already knew that Microsoft does a lot of stuff. What is the slide for? How does it change us? If you've seen Bill Gates give a talk lately, he doesn't do this anymore. The talk I saw him do last involved a small container with a mosquito in it and almost no slides whatsoever. That's simply because we remember stories. We remember emotions. We take action based on our experiences. When you put up a slide that has no experience in it, when it cannot be decoded, when we do not understand it, then you have done us a disservice.